Dang, should be live now.
Yeah, it just says live at 7. All right, all right.
Yep, we good. We
Okay.
good, man. Shalom, shalom, family from KHM NOLA. I got Mr. Moray Moshe on as well. Um, this is definitely our first live for sure. Our first video. Just want to come in and introduce ourselves and let everybody know what's the plan and what's the agenda moving forward, and a little bit about KHM, NOLA. Uh, uh, Moshe, you want to go into basically telling everybody about what is KHM and who Divine is as well, and who you is as well. First, maybe you should introduce yourself first.
All right, all right. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Mishpachah, Shabbat shalom, family. I want to start by giving all praises to the Father, the Son, the Ruach, and all to all the 12 tribes that's scattered abroad to the four corners of the earth. My name is Moray Moshe. I am the director at KHM NOLA here in New Orleans. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised as a Christian all of my life. Very, very active in the Christian church since youth. Preached my first sermon at like 14. Always felt the call of the Most High on my life. Always felt His protection. Kept me out of a lot of things. You know, I spent my 20s, the decade where most people are experimenting, finding themselves, doing a whole lot of things that they shouldn't. I was serving the Most High faithfully in the church. And what that did was that laid a great foundation for me. When I transitioned over to this truth, um, I was already sort of purged of a lot of things that our brothers and sisters tend to get caught up in. And this is not me boasting. This is just simply me stating, my walk with the Most High, because it didn't start when I came into the truth. It got amplified. It got amplified. And we must understand that in this truth, um, that that Christianity didn't get it all wrong, and that came from somebody who was born and raised in this truth. Never stepped foot in a Christian church to her early 30s. And when she experienced those things coming out of, coming being born and raised in the truth and seeing how the Christian world operates, she was very, very pleased. So I was able to sort of borrow vicariously through her experience, and accepting the things that I did learn coming out of the Christian church, that are transferable, transferable knowledge, transferable skills. That's very, very important because, like many of us in this truth, when I came over, I began to bash Christianity, and most of it for a good reason. To be blatantly honest with you, most of it for good reason. However, we cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are a lot of components that's in the infrastructure of the Christian church that the Israelite community need to embrace. But uh, for KHM NOLA, it's all about servitude. We all been called to serve. You can't serve. You can't be in this truth without serving. Your first servitude is to your wife or wives. Your second is to your children. Then on to the ministry through to the nation. So it's very, very important that we have the heart of a servant. Understand that when our Messiah um, no matter what you call him, whether you call him Yeshua, Yahweh Shai, um, ah, not Ahaya, Yeshaya, excuse me. I'm trying to include all the names that I've heard, that I've familiar with now in this truth. No matter what you call him, he is the Messiah, and he came to serve. He came to serve his brethren, and understand this about myself personally, that for me personally, I wouldn't choose to have selected myself to be head of anything. I have no problem with being in the background. Um, I did have a lot of criticisms when I came into the truth, and I would pray, and I would pray, and the Most High would deal with me through the Ruach and say, Shay, you got to create it. It's not there. There's a lot of missing components in this walk, and there's a lot of components that are not meant to be for us. We got to understand that part. There's a lot of components that are in the world, or that are in the Christian community, that are not meant to be for the nation. To give you a quick example. Remember when it was Gideon, when he was ready to go to war with 10,000 men. Remember, Most High said, "No, you got too many. You got too many." He had too many resources, and he had to cut that 10,000 all the way down to 300 men. Why? Because the Most High said, "I will not share my glory with anybody, and they when you defeat them, they will believe that you defeated them because you had 10,000 men, not because of your relationship with me." So there are a lot of things in this community that we may reach for that we may never achieve. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we see that throughout the scripture. There's a reason why the Messiah let Lazarus die before he went before he went to resurrect him. And remember, Lazarus' sister, I believe, if I'm recalling the story correctly, Lazarus' sister was like, "Look, he dead. And if you would, because you took so long to get here, now he dead." you know um the Messiah did that on purpose, because no one could ever say, well, yeah, he healed them, but he was probably going to get better anyway. So there's a lot of things that we just won't achieve, because when it's time, you know when those trumpets begin to sound, it won't be because we were so astute in our planning and our prepping, and we got food, we got water, we got ammo. No, the Most High will leave us the bare minimums, so that when he show up, no one no one will ever be able to say that it's because of this. So that's a little snippet. I'm a father of four. I have four kids, two boys, two girls. I currently do not have an Isha or a wife. um, it's a very, very daunting task to select, find, and remain married, not only in the truth but also in the world. So marriage is something that escapes both sides of the coin. No matter who you are. And that's the funny thing about it's the funny thing about this life, because no one in the truth, in the Christian community, or in the world can laugh and say, "Ha ha, we have this thing all together," as it relates to marriage. And that's now that's not by coincidence. Understand that the adversary has launched a great attack on marriages and on the families, because the nuclear family the nuclear family destroys and tear down all kingdoms of the enemy. Period. No matter what aspect you're talking about. So the attack on the family is great. And understand, you're dealing with an ancient deity that's been that's been on planet Earth since it was constructed by the Most High. You've been here, what, maybe 20, 30, 40, 40 years. And if you think that you're going to outsmart him alone when he has seen all and has done all, if you think you're going to outsmart him without the divine wisdom and impact of the Ruach, you are sadly mistaken. You will continue to chase your tail or try to chase after your shadow, and it will elude you. So that's why we're building this channel, because it's time for our people here in New Orleans to tap in. I was born and raised in Shrewsbury, which is about 5 miles from downtown New Orleans. Very, very typical upbringing. Seeing the crack epidemic sweep through our community, sweep through my family. I bear personal witness to that. Got deep insight about how crack and narcotics affect the mind. But the most important thing is I watched my stepdad battle his crack addiction, um, and overcome that thing. And I sat in on those meetings that he had to attend to kick his habit, as a youth, in my teenage years. And there's nothing new under the sun. If we look out into our communities, recreational drugs are still at an all time high, still ravishing our community. And now we have to combat these things. We can't stay on the sideline and be idle, and not do nothing. You cannot call yourself a believer. You cannot be in this truth. Remember, the Messiah told us that by this, people will know that you are my disciples, by the way that you love one another. And you can't love your brother. Cannot say that you love your brother and sit down on the sideline while he struggles, battling addiction, battling in the legal proceedings that ensnares us so easily. It's time now. The Most High has appointed this time for KHM NOLA to come to the forefront, and the work is plenty, but the workers are very, very few. So I hope that this message will inspire um those who are in around New Orleans to come join. We have a lot of different programs that we will be launching to try and galvanize and reverse or minimize the curses that we are now currently suffering. And it's not enough. Understand this: when we went into captivity, and I am not in any way, shape, or form uh, attempting to put myself on the level of any of our major or minor prophets. I am not that, even though I can easily speak what the rock speaks to me. Um, but when we went into captivity, Daniel went into captivity too. Ezekiel went into captivity with us. The prophets, the priests went into captivity also. So those of us who may be advanced in our studies, advanced in our walk, don't struggle with the vices that our brethren struggles with. I understand this. The Most High punishes the whole nation. Daniel had to go serve in captivity. Ezekiel had to go serve in captivity. He didn't just separate them and, like, okay, we just gonna let those who was transgressing the law go live out the captivity. No. So all of us who have deeper insight to the scriptures, further along in our walk, it's our duty. It's our duty to go after that one lost sheep. Remember, the Messiah said, I will leave 10,000 righteous to go after one. And that's the mentality that we have to have. And those of our brothers and sisters that served in the military, you understand, you don't leave your comrade on the battlefield. You got to go back and get that body. The first thing they teach you in the military, is it the first or second? Anybody feel free to jump on and teach you how to respond when your gun jams, and how to carry a dead body. Those are like one and two, because those are the things mentally you're not going to be prepared for when the enemy is shooting at you in your gun jam. They teach you how not to panic, how to get the gun unjammed, but then how to carry the body, of your comrade that has now fallen. We have to adopt that mentality. We can't look at a brother or sister in a truth who has fallen, um and say, well, they off. We're not gonna deal with them anymore. Yes, there is a necessary distance that needs to be put between people, when the time is right, or when the occasion calls for it. But at the same time, again, are you truly showing love when you cast them out? What if the Most High would have cast you out? Where would you be? What if he would have hit you with a reprobate mind, like he
Mm,
hit your brother? So that's I come to this thing in servitude and in the spirit, in the spirit of love, and which is the perfect segue into explaining who, at least my understanding of who divine is. Divine prospect, he actually needs no introduction if you've been in this truth for more than 6 months. He is a top tier scholar, not just in our community, but outside our community. And if you notice, none of your so-called rabbis or Christian scholars, um, uh, would care to take a real formal debate with him, and for good reason, because Divine has an amazing gift, to not only bring out information, but to retain the information, and explain it in such a way that the layman can understand it, as well as the scholar with a PhD. And the Most High, years ago, instructed me to go submit myself, and learn. He told me Divine has something that you need, and I have no problem, you know um submitting myself to someone who has a higher level of understanding than myself. That's another issue. That's not only in our community, but everybody wants to be the one that call the shots and give the orders. And if we look at the issue when there was the army general, and this is what I liken myself to this army general when he came to the Messiah, and he told the Messiah that one of his soldiers was injured or sick, and the Messiah immediately said, "Okay, I will go to him." He said, "No, no, no. I am a man of authority. I have men submitted under me, so I understand authority." He said, "You can stand right where you are and speak a word, and you can heal him from right here, because I understand your authority." I've always been in position of authority, and the only true sign of a leader, you can't be a leader without first knowing and understand what it means to be a follower. In the world, we used to say, it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat. And that's important. We have to understand order. The Most High is a God, or is a Elohim, of order. You know, you couldn't just go to Moses after a certain point. We know after the 70 elders, your issue had to first make it. Your issue had to first make it through the 70 elders, and if they couldn't solve it, then it would reach its way to Moses or Moshe. And then watch this. And then if Moshe couldn't answer it, then he had to go to the father, and we see that what the daughters of Zelophehad had. When the elders couldn't answer their issue, then he went to Moses. Moses couldn't answer their issue, then Moses went to the Most High, and the Most High gave Moses the instructions on how to deal when a man passes away but has no son. Now the inheritance can go to his daughters. However, the daughters have to only can marry within their tribe. So the Most High is about order. The root in order for you under, getting ahead of myself, understand um that the Messiah didn't call his followers. He didn't call them Christians. He called them disciples. And the root word of disciple, it comes from being disciplined. So you have to be disciplined. See, when you're disciplined, you're gonna do it regardless if you feel like it or not, because you're disciplined. You don't need motivation because you're disciplined. It's discipline, excuse me. It's always good to have motivation, but discipline supersedes motivation. You do something because you're disciplined. Oh, I have to do this. I have no other choice but to do this. And if we would take that tenacity and apply it to serving our brethren, serving the nation, we would flip this world upside down. But back to our good brother Divine. Um, Brother has such a humble spirit, because Divine really can really boast in his knowledge, and he really can come off way more, not that he's ever come off arrogant to my degree. If I had to instruct him, if I would be the one, I would, man, you need to turn up on him. You need to turn up. Very, very humble in his approach, and explaining, even at times could easily be to a fault. But that's what's needed. We don't need to walk around with a whole lot of pride, because we have deep level understanding of scriptures. We have to be the example. We are called to be the light. We are called to be the light. And our actions will speak for us. Our actions will tell you everything that you need to know about who you are. Look at that tree, and I'll close right here. Look at that tree and see what type of fruit it bears. You will know them by their fruits. So I don't need to know all your accolades and your titles and how much you know. All I have to do is look around you and see what type of fruit you bear, and that'll tell me everything that I need to know. So there we go.
All praises, man. Definitely need that. That was good. That was really good. That was really good. Quick introduction about myself. My name is Marco Perkins, but I am working on a Hebrew name as well. Just not coming out with it as of yet.
Right.
Um, I met brother Moshe through another brother Andrew that I've been knowing since I was basically a kid, coming up in the Christian community, the Christian church. That's my background and foundation as well. So the brother, introduced me to Moshe, and it just hit it off straight out the gate. At the time that we met, I was kind of, lost, going through a little something. Was trying to find a church home. I was becoming a little older. Had 3 kids at the time, and basically just trying to get my life right. Right, was coming out of the streets. Uh, Not a foundation. I grew up in the church since from a baby. My mother was big on, the church. When I say big, I mean she devoted everything to the church. We would be in the church 3 to 5 times a week. I grew up in what you call it, private schools, right? Christian base. I went to about 20 different elementary schools growing up. Just getting kicked out of school just was bad. Very rebellious at the school. Wasn't really rebellious at the home, but I didn't like the schools. I didn't like the authority at the schools. So with that being said, I ran my mother a lot. I caused a lot of problems and headaches for my mama. And one thing she did, she always tried to, uh, bring that word into the home on in any way that she could. She was trying to figure it out. Just bringing us to the church, bringing the word home, bringing us to the church. We would go clean the church. She would cut the homeless hair. She would take care of the pastor. She would do the youth ministry. She would sing in the choir. She would just everything, right? Revival, just the whole nine. And she would bring us, me and my sister. My sister didn't have no problems. Me, I was, once again, I was rebellious. But I do have a good foundation that was laid, years and years and years, right, in the Christian community. But I went through some things and I was struggling. I kind of, I was getting older, so I started researching certain things, and I started kind of seeing certain things. And the first thing that hit me was like a identity thing, right? And I talked to a brother. He was a Nubian, and he kind of came at me aggressive with it, and I was like, I get what you're saying, but I'm not with that, right? So he was a Nubian, and but that's kind of like started my journey and kind of dibbling, dabbling in different things, like looking at some Nubian stuff, and then some other stuff with some Muslim stuff and stuff like that. And I kind of like I backed away from the church. I started going to this church, and just some things I just wasn't agreement with. But I'm like, man, I got my kids, and at that time I wasn't married, and I was looking for a wife, and I was like, man, I got to get it together, because I was in the streets hard. And one of the things was, um, I was ripping and running with women. And let me just say this, full disclosure on this channel, you're gonna get it raw. It's not gonna be um, you know, we're gonna keep it real. We don't have nothing to hide. And change comes from pain, right? When people go through enough pain, they will change. And we've been through a lot of pain in a lot of different areas of our life, to where it caused change, and we're coming to the forefront to help others change, right? So we're gonna keep it raw, and we're just gonna come out with it, right? So anyway, I was out there in the streets, doing a lot of whoremongering or whatever, because that's what the scripture calls it, right? For a male that's dealing with a lot of different, women, and that was me. Just, whoremongering all over the place, all these different women, and just wilding out, whatever, whatever, right? And I was like, man, I got to get it together. So the brother Drew, we had a conversation, and we're just kind of going back and forth. And he's a trusted brother because I, grew up under him, and we grew up in the Christian community and whatever, whatever. And we kind of like locked up, and he kind of was sharing with me, saying like, man, you know, um, I'm kind of researching and studying some stuff as well. And I'm like, oh, okay. So when we went to talking, it was like, oh, we kind of on the same thing. So it's like, good. I got somebody I can talk to. So we went to talking, and then he invited me inside of the group, and then we went to talking about just laying that foundation about the law, and you know, um, certain things. So I joined in. Now in the beginning, I kind of was a little hesitant because I just wasn't with the whole, jumping on these bandwagons, right? And then when I first got introduced to the Israelite community, it was a lot of camp doctrine, right? So I went to seeing these camps online, man, and it was, hollering at people and on the street corners and this and that and stuff and going off on white people, whatever. So I was like, whoa, okay. But I still was like, I'm feeling this. But then it kind of was like, I still had my, reservations or whatever. So I went to talking with Drew, and he kind of laughed it off. He was like, nah, man, it ain't like that, whatever, whatever. Just stick with it. I'm like, all right, cool, cool. And that truth just went to hit me. That's when we would talk all the time, on a Shabbat, on a Sabbath, right? Because we don't know who's gonna be watching these videos, so we might uh explain what we're talking about. If you know what we're talking about and you understand, great. But if you don't, when we say the Shabbat or the Sabbath, we're talking about the seventh day of rest, which we understand that it's on a Saturday, right? Which is the seventh day of the week, right? So we're talking about the Shabbat, the Sabbath. All right. So we would have our calls. We'll get on Zoom or Facebook Messenger, whatever like that. And in the beginning, we would talk 2, 3 times a week, right? For hours, just going over scripture. I'm talking about, we would
Right.
run it. Just man, just scripture, script. And it's like just getting fed. Then we start fasting together, right? Brothers, you know what I mean? Just that camaraderie, right? And then, we would fast together. Then we go out there and we did Feast of Tabernacles, right? That was amazing, right? We're in the woods and we going over scripture. We sitting by the fire and we, sipping on a little wine. We chilling. We walking the land and we just, getting inspired and,
Hmm.
and then we sharing content with each other, videos and all this type of stuff, and I was like, man, this is real. This is real, a real brotherhood, coming from because men always want brotherhood, right? They always want that, right?
Right.
And me growing up the way that I grew up, I always had brotherhood. Maybe it wasn't the right structured brotherhood that it should have been. But I had brothers in the streets, and these type of things. And the I had I was a part of a motorcycle club, right? That was a brotherhood, stuff like that. But when I came into KHM NOLA, it was like, this is it. This is it. Like this is it. This is for real. This is it. I'm all in, right? So that's how I came in. But I came in, what kind of caused me to change and caused me to come into this truth and really fully submit and really come in was through pain, right? Went through a lot of pain. I wanted to change my life. I had to change my life because it wasn't working. It just wasn't, that wasn't it, right? In the streets doing whatever, whatever. And over time, through these videos and these live calls we're going to have, we're going to unravel a lot of different things tonight, is, just an introduction to the channel and what we have going on. But we'll get into that. But, that pain caused change and it brought me in. So I'm very grateful that I met the brother Moshe, and I'm very grateful for Drew. He introduced us, and I'm very grateful for finding out about Divine. When I got on Divine, it was like I already was like, whoa, with y'all coming with what y'all was coming, right? And it was like, hold up, all right, I didn't see this in scripture. Where it's come from? Y'all teaching, y'all was teaching word study. That was the biggest. Listen, you know, this video gonna be up here for years to come. If you study in scripture, you have to do word study. All right, that's like the basic of studying, in my opinion. Right, you have to understand what these words truly mean and what they mean in the context of that exact scripture. And like, because the same word could mean a different thing or could be used different in a totally different scripture. But anyway, I'm not the scholar here. Moshe and Divine are the scholars, so I'm not. That's not. I'm not the scholar, so the teaching aspect. I'm just telling you my journey of how I got better and how I've started understanding things and you know got better, right? So I'm here. I joined. I wanted to get my life right. I am getting my life right. I want to, serve my children better. I'm all about family. Moshe is all about family. Everybody that's in our group is all about family. There's some things that maybe we didn't get correct or get right in the past, but it's all good. We will get it right and together in the future. And we will strive to constantly work and work hard as we have to be better and do what we have to do for our families and moving forward. So that's me. Um, Definitely will see y'all around. If you're in the New Orleans area and you're watching this video, we do meet up once a month. Um, as of right now in St. Rose, Louisiana, we will be moving around, moving to some different areas. We will start giving some events or whatever like that. I will be. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be the one that's gonna be basically running the YouTube channel, stuff like that. The email should be in the description of the channel. If not, I'm gonna put it in the description of the video and definitely link it in the description of the channel. So if you need to get with us on anything, or you need any type of prayer or anything like that, or you're looking for a home to join and join a brotherhood as well. And it's not just a brotherhood, basically it's a family, right? Um, uh, you know, Once again, the things that we are all about is, let me just pull it up, culture, community, autonomy, restoring culture and autonomy through research, education, and application, real life application, right? In our community. We'll go over these things as time go on. Once again, this was just the first video to introduce basically the YouTube channel. You can also catch us on Facebook. I'll put the link in the description for Facebook as well. Just to go over a couple of things, what to expect out of this YouTube channel. We will be going live weekly. I think we're going to decide on 8 p.m. if we on Fridays. Um, if we decide to change that, we will, update everybody and let everybody know about that. If we change it, it's probably just going to be late, a little later, till about 9 p.m. or something like that. But we plan on going live every week, every Friday at basically the start of the Shabbat, kind of late on in the evening. Um, and we're just gonna have conversations. Brother Moshe might go into a teaching or two or 10, right? Doesn't matter. We have all night. We're not gonna be on it's not gonna be a structured in and out type deal or structured. It's no. We're coming on here. We invite people to come on and talk with us, leave comments, ask questions, come join in, right? We're building, right? Even if you're not in New Orleans, it doesn't matter. Anywhere you at across the world, whatever, right? And also, we do have other chapters across the country. So inbox us if you're looking to join one of the chapters. Inbox us, send us an email. We can talk to you. Maybe we can hook you up with somebody else in a different place that you can join as well. Also, the Fringe Fest is coming up in Atlanta, Georgia, which is the weekend, it's going to be the first weekend of July. We will be out there. So, hey, man, if you come across this video, you see who we are, holla at us, right? We gonna be there, right? Also, what else we got? Yeah, so on Fridays we're gonna be doing some Q&A sessions, some panels, stuff like that. We will try to get some. We're gonna work hard on try to getting our Sabbath teachings by Brother Moshe recorded, and we'll post it on the actual Shabbat as well. Maybe we can go live on that as well. Also, we'll see. We just don't want to put so much pressure right now and then don't get anything done. We just want to start, slowly and make sure we actually are getting some things done. So I think that's about it with the announcements. Um,
Yeah, brother, you
that's
did a
about
great
it,
job
man.
on those announcements. You did a great
Yeah, for
job.
sure, man.
Yeah, and I just want to add before we go ahead and close out and keep this introduction real quick. We got a lot of different um aspects that we're going to institute into KHM NOLA. Brother Marco is a great um businessman, social media, that is his lane. Has extreme knowledge as it deals with transportation, trucking, logistics, and things like that. One of the things that I'm bringing over from the Christian community. I served at a church called Beacon Light, and since this is a positive thing, I'll go ahead and speak on it. Beacon Light ran a business. Ran a business. If you went to a Beacon Light on a Tuesday afternoon, you will see 50, 60 people look like the New York Stock Exchange. They following this, they doing that. They ran that ministry like a bit like a business. Understand this. Now watch this. If marriage is the most important institution that the Most High has given us to participate and to cultivate in, marriage is a business as well. That's what a contuber is. It's a business agreement. That's why you had to pay for your wife. So everything centered around business. Now the love aspect, which is extremely important, something that I'm going to harp on as well. The love aspect, the tenets and the principles that the man or and women follow while marriage should produce the necessary love that all parties who are involved need. When you conduct yourself in the marriage, in that business arrangement, the way that the Most High instructed you to, then it should produce that feeling, that love that we all need, that we all desire. No man or woman, I don't care how strong-willed or how prideful or how egotistical a man may come off. That man needs to be first respected, then loved. Then loved. So love is a big thing, and I don't even have to speak on behalf of our sisters, with their understanding. A woman's life is love. She's a nurturer. That's all she knows. That's all she knows, and that's all she desires is to be loved. And treated with warmth, kindness, and affection. So it's very important, that we embrace that aspect. But we're going to be adding business components to where you can call and get expert business advice. You will also be able to get prayer. You'll also be able to get shelter. You'll also be able to get shelter. We're going to begin to build these things so that we can meet the needs of our people. But like our brother said, we're not going to do it all at once, and we can't do it all at once. We currently don't have all the people and things in place to do it today, but these are the things that we are working towards. We're working towards autonomy, to be set apart from the rest of the world. And if unless you've been under a rock, we see prophecies being unfolded every day. And if I was to tell the truth, every hour, we at the opening stages, you know, of of the world being at war for the third time. So the time is now. And this is not to scare.
It is.
But fear is a great motivator. Fear is a great
Yeah.
teacher. It's time for us to get off the sidelines, get busy. Obviously, yes, we want the fellowship. We want to get to know you. We want to get involved in your life in a very, very positive, impactful way, because we all need each other. And that's the way that the Most High set up. The way that the Most High set this up is that families need families. Families are what runs the nations. So I want y'all to get involved, like and subscribe. We're gonna do our best to be very, very diligent on this channel, and meet the needs. And that's all I gotta say for this evening. We'll be back. We'll be back next week, and I hope you all have a great rest of your Shabbat. Got something else you want to add?
That's it, man. Y'all be great. Help us serve. We're here to serve. Help us serve by clicking the like button, right? And subscribing to the channel. Definitely do that. And we will check y'all next week. Remember, Friday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time
Thank you.
on Friday. All right. We'll catch y'all next week. All right. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Love y'all.
Shabbat
Peace.
shalom. Shabbat shalom.